Podluck. So Paris Hilton says that the abuse that she suffered as a teen is impossible to forget. This I had not heard of. You two were, I don't know if you knew about
heard about this. It's been going on for like 2 years almost.
Yeah, she came out with a documentary, I think either last year or in 2020, where it was heavily focused on her experience at Provo Canyon School, which is just basically a privatized juvenile detention center slash boarding school that her parents sent her to when she was a teenager.
So it's like Scared Straight for rich people.
Right, yeah. And she was kind of a problem child. Not even really that much. She was just like partying as a teen.
So it says Paris Hilton explained why she opened up about her experience at U2's, how do you pronounce that, Provo Canyon?
Yeah.
Where she faced emotional, physical abuse as a teen, despite never planning on telling that story. The 41-year-old made an appearance on the Australian news program The Project, where she talked about working with the Irwin family on a project involving the Australian Zoo, aside from contributing her fame to a commercial about wildlife. However, Hilton shared her experience on becoming an advocate for children suffering abuse. I couldn't sleep at night knowing that this was still happening, and I knew that I needed to use my voice, Hilton said of sharing her story in This Is Paris documentary. I thought to myself, maybe God made me go through this and gave me a gift so that one day I could be one to save these children. This rings particularly true to me because of instances within my family having dealt with nursing homes that are extremely poorly run where I'm from, to the point where the government had to get involved back in the day, and even to this day, even after attempted overhauls in that sector of the healthcare industry, when it's not when it's state run, it's very bad. It tends to be very, very bad, and these facilities are very, very horrible to old people. So this is kind of a similar analog, just with young people. And it says, in the YouTube documentary, which was released in 2020, Hilton spoke of the abuse that she suffered in an effort to shine a light on what numerous teens endure at congregate care facilities. Although she admitted it was so painful to talk about, she expressed validation in the incredible work that her story has led to. It's made such a change that and I've changed laws and now taking this to the federal level. So I do feel proud of the woman I am and what I've been through and how strong I am. She said, testifying in front of lawmakers to create reform within these facilities. She says, I feel that this is how my legacy and something that is my mission, that now this is my legacy and that this is my mission in life and something that has really deep meaning and that I'm going to continue fighting until it change is made. So this is a cynical side of me says that this is similar to the Evan Rachel Wood documentary, obviously with far less pointed means. I'm always weary of activism in any form from celebrities. That's, if I'm being 110% honest, I don't know anything about these facilities on the outset other than I know that the similar analogs to other aspects of the healthcare industry reflect similar problems. So there's room for me to want to continue learning in there. But I'm always like, it feels to me that a lot of times these days, celebrities are reforming their characters around activism. I don't think that's what's going on here. I think she's more than happy to be behind she enjoys working behind the scenes more than she enjoys being in front of the camera now, which is probably why I'm more likely to give leeway.
Yeah,
when
she's
discussing
more
this.
of a businesswoman than an influencer these days, but she dabbles in
and I'm trying to be as fair-minded here. I'm not trying to say that I don't believe her. That obviously I do believe that she probably went through exactly what she went through. Otherwise, she's successful
her story
enough
has
that,
been corroborated by other people who attended the school at the time.
So I'm just my natural weariness towards celebrities who turn to activism in their older years is only weighed down by celebrities who turn to activism now in their younger years, because as you all know, that it's not enough to just not be an activist. You have to be anti-activist.
I tend to like this kind of public statement or campaign better from celebrities because it is targeted to a specific thing they are directly related to.
And it's
so
an
she's
industry,
not
it's not a group.
saying like
this place has an address.
Yeah,
and
she's
like a board of
when you
people
take
that
a
run
broad
it.
stance on like I'm an LGBTQ ally, I am against Donald Trump or like whatever it is, like it's vague. It's
I'm against misogyny.
It's kind of to grab attention, but in this case, like this is a specific, I don't even know if it's technically registered at school, but like a specific facility where she lived, she resided. And like part of it is some of these movements, and I don't know about this case, but like sometimes they start with other students, and she might feel like because she is, let's say, an alumni of the school with a lot of influence, that she in particular can help like be involved in this. I know she made an appearance during like a legislative session in Utah with other students who had been at this school. Like this seems different for me than a grandstanding position on a vague topic.
Yes.
There's also a larger problem beyond just that school, though, in like what they called the troubled teen industry, which I'm sure is very lucrative for some people.
A multi-billion-dollar industry, she says here. So I also want to point out that before we continue on, this is why I have trust issues with these industries. Remember, anytime you watch reality TV, that you're still watching a character being portrayed, because she talks about that. And here, that who she portrayed on The Simple Life is not her. She is much more intelligent than she portrayed in those shows like that. So these types of shows are still being made today. So be wary of any person who portrays a certain type of image on a reality TV show, because the likelihood that they're like that in real life is very, very different.
It's more difficult to make reality TV shows like that, because I think back in like 2003, people would kind of just believe.
And now we have like the other ways of checking them out.
And now we're so cynical that we know.
We know, and also they would have to maintain that character on their social medias, on this person's social media. Like, can never be caught off guard.
So it says she's in reference to the places where she was. She says, they're so abusive, verbally, mentally, physically, where it's affected me in so many ways in my life. Or it's hard for me to trust people or open up, she said, of the treatment she encountered at congregate care facilities. I've had severe PTSD and nightmares. It's something that I've thought about every day and will probably for the rest of my life. And even though I'm healing and talking about it and helping others, it's something that I think will stick forever. It's impossible to forget. And they talk about in this article from Newsweek about, she says, I was strangled and slapped, sexually assaulted by people in these facilities. I was strangled, slapped across the face, watched in the shower by male staff, and called vulgar names, forced to take medication without a diagnosis, not given a proper education, thrown into solitary confinement in a room covered in scratch marks, and smeared in blood, and so much more, Hilton told reporters about her time at Provo Canyon School and other so-called troubled teen facilities in Utah. So this is when they're talking about the effort that she made to make legislative change within that industry, where they want more federal oversight of these, because it says like they only need like a one-page affidavit to get somebody submitted there.
Yeah, these can be run out of like people's homes who just decide to sign up and like charge money for you to send your child there, which like I feel terrible for the parents who felt so at the end of their rope with their teens that they were like, this is our only option, and then to hear about what was happening to their child. I obviously feel a lot of empathy for like students who were sent there who were, you know, troubled in some way, but like it just makes me so there are like, they keep saying it's a boarding school, and like there are a lot of really reputable like safe boarding schools. That's not really what this is. This is like a hybrid between like theoretically therapy for your kid, but also a Scared Straight, but also juvenile detention center.
We used to hold up Scared Straight as like something to like, I mean, I don't even necessarily know if you can necessarily call the idea of showing someone the horrors of where their life could be heading is a bad thing.
No, it's
but
like,
this goes far beyond.
Do you know those stories about people whose like kids are out of control, and so they pay someone to like kidnap them in the middle of the night and drag them?
I think that is quite literally what happened to Paris. Yeah, like, she did get taken in the middle of the night.
They just found a legal way to do it. Which
is like crazy,
and it shows that there's like no socioeconomic barrier.
Yep.
In fact, probably most of the people
who can afford it would
getting
be rich.
Sent here are from like wealthier families.
I don't know if this
I think there's probably a mix, to be honest. I think these places would probably take anyone's money.
And it like from all of the ways in which she describes it, it sounds like prison. It says, one day in isolation felt like a week. The small rooms covered in scratch marks. She said there was zero privacy. Every time I would use the bathroom or take a shower, it was monitored. She said at 16 years old, as a child, I felt their piercing eyes staring at my naked body. I was just a kid and felt violated every day. So it shows to you, like, one of the things that about this is like, it shows that in the world we live in now, she could have made this a cause of hers when she got out, but the world wasn't ready to deal with that problem yet.
And I don't think she had the platform to do it.
Yeah, I would say it's more complicated than that. Like, it seems like the timing of her documentary coincides with other people who attended this school coming forward, the motion against the school picking up some steam, and also there seems to be like coinciding with some legislative motions that were going through the Senate. So like, yeah, I guess we could say at 18 she should have turned around and been like, this bad thing happened to me. But like,
no, I'm saying that I don't think the world was ready to have that discussion anyways, because the world we live in now is a much different place than it was back then. I don't think it would have gotten the attention that
who would have listened to Paris Hilton in like 2003.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone would have trusted her testimony back then.
So it would have, in given the blurred lines of reality back then, they could have seen it as a bit or something like that. So it's something that could have, because I had to ask that question of myself when I read this story, because my initial, whenever something like this happens and a long time goes by, my initial concern is like, why did it take so long to talk about it? Your empathetic side says they were traumatized. This happened and they needed to process that. My more cynical side says there's industry in making these things, in making a story about stuff like this. That's not what I'm saying happened here. I'm just saying I'm always asking those questions of myself when we cover stuff like this,
which
because
you should,
I'm just weary of anybody who starts when these things come up, because it always feels like I'm being sold something by someone. I can't really put words as to what that is, but it's just something that you should have your hackles up and at least question what you're being told, even if you do believe them. Think about it critically. So I think this is kind of fascinating, because now I think that her image will change. Her image already has changed. She's not, nobody looks at her, at least nobody who's culturally aware looks at her and thinks of the simple life. They think of more of a businesswoman, and a more mannered and classy businesswoman than someone like a Kardashian who makes their entire life the forefront of the business. She's learned to kind of move back to behind the scenes, similar to how her dad that owned the hotels, or
her great
grandfather created the Hilton hotel line. So she's kind of grown into this role, which I think helps her credibility in the situation, like you said. So I don't know if those legislations will ever reach the federal level, but she definitely worked and helped make change at the at the state level. So is this a story you were well aware of beforehand? Because I had never heard of it.
Yeah, it started happening in 2020, and I've watched a lot of documentaries about other schools like this, just because I was interested in sort of what the regulation behind educational institutions like this were. Okay. All right. Did you see the story about Jesse Williams? I honestly don't know who Jesse Williams is, but I saw the headline.
He's from Grey's Anatomy. From what I understand, he's from Grey's Anatomy. Not being the biggest Grey's Anatomy fan in the world, as you can imagine, I'm not exactly the target demographic for Grey's Anatomy.
Me neither, apparently. I don't know who he is.
But it says, Jesse Williams' nude footage from Broadway debut leaks, and Twitter is not well. So I didn't know this happened on Broadway. I didn't know people did full frontal nudity on. Daniel
Radcliffe did it in one.
I might have to go see that Pamela Anderson Broadway show that I heard is out now. She's doing Chicago or something like that.
Anything to shock people these days.
Pretty much.
Is this shocking? Are we shocked by this now?
I mean, that's like the selling point, but I don't think it's actually that.
I do think that there's an interesting discussion here where they talk about how I don't have that initial article pulled up where he talks about being very, very nervous about doing this, right? About going full frontal in front of an audience. And then I'm sure your worst fear in that case would be somebody sneaking, because they confiscate the phones at the door, or they lock them in bags, like zipper bags. So like they do that at comedy shows too, right? So a new comedian or a comedian can't have their set getting out, so people aren't allowed to film with their phones. That's why that's why there's no great video of Dave Chappelle getting attacked by that dude in the Hollywood Bowl. So this guy's biggest fear, if he actually was nervous about it, was that somebody's going to sneak in a phone, and that's exactly what happens. Pictures get leaked out. And the thing is, he kind of just has to accept it, right? I mean, I do think the public reaction, if this had been a woman, would be different. I think we'd be saying that it was a violation, and I think we'd be talking about how that as a society we're devaluing women. I think they're just basically saying, get over it. People think think you're attractive, but the consent aspect of it, I think, would be different if we were having a discussion.
I think it could be different now if he decides he wants to play it that way.
And yeah, but I don't know if the media narrative would be different. But it says right here, it says, so he says, Jesse Williams is okay with being nude on Broadway. It's a body. So basically he's saying, like, it's cat's out of the bag now. There's nothing we can do about it. And he's a good looking dude. And he's like, people were like giving him compliments about the size of his junk. So he's like, compliments. That's fun.
I mean, I think that's why people will not take it seriously if it's a guy, because I think like a woman revealing what her naked body looks like, it genuinely does have more gravity, in like objectively, because I think a guy can more easily just like brush that off as like, whatever.
Can you explain that?
A woman's like what a woman looks like, it actually is more important than what a man looks like in just her social interactions and like intimacy, like that context.
I don't think women ask for pictures of men's penises, but
No,
I
they do
do
not.
know that men ask for naked pictures of women.
Yeah, it's like less valuable.
There is a different standard here.
Yeah.
So yes,
it's easy to believe that he's just like kind of brushing it off.
it's easy to
And
believe that
also,
he gets to too. Like it doesn't have the same
Yeah.
weight. Like maybe some, you know.
So if this had been leaked and it was a female Broadway performer, it
would be objectively like way worse.
in what way?
Because like
The media
as we
response,
said,
or the public response?
I think both. I think the media would take it as like there would be what I predict is that there would be a like brave and bold that she's doing this, but also like, wow, why did that person sneak in their phone and violate the like confidential whatever? And also I think with men, it's like, as long as he doesn't apparently look too weird down there, too Ken doll, I guess, like then everyone is like, aha, he's so hot. Like women,
it's like a laughing, like a funny
it's
thing.
like a funny thing that happens.
Versus like
being
like very
Okay, so is he
Whereas
allowed
if
to?
I were a man and this happened to me, I would feel angry. I would want, like, I don't understand why
But
this
at
wouldn't
the
get
same
counted
time,
as
like,
like distribution
if
for
you
porn.
agreed to this role where you're going to be naked, like
You know
you
this is gonna
accept
happen.
Then wouldn't
the
you say the
risk.
same thing if a woman accepted this role? And
Yes,
knew
I
that-
would.
Okay.
I would. Yeah.
All right. So then the question for me is, if his reaction had been different, if he was angry, would you sympathize with him?
I would sympathize with him, but on the caveat
Or
that-
empathize? I should say empathize. Not
I don't
sympathize.
on the
know.
caveat that like this is a risk that you take when
Yeah.
you produce any content like this, right? Any woman who poses naked for a magazine or for a movie like risks somebody taking a picture of them doing that and it being leaked. Like you have had to make the decision that like people seeing your naked body is okay with you, and I don't think I would make it. I find like using people's nudity as a way of like selling tickets kind of degenerate, but like he had to know on some level that like people were going to see him naked. It sounds like he can brush it off because he's like, it's just more than I expected, right? If they thought they would sell 5,000 tickets to the show and its total run, and now, you know, 100,000 people are seeing
Like,
him.
why would you rather people see you naked in the flesh rather than pixelated? You know?
Yeah, I
But
guess.
like,
Also, like,
He's like, I'm not mad that they see me naked. He's like, I'm mad that they didn't pay for it.
that's the thing. That's the reaction from Twitter. They're like, oh, I'm going to buy a ticket to the show now. So, like,
Yeah,
because
that
I'm
was
cynical,
the-
I'm like,
I mean,
so
I don't know
nothing
anything about the
lost.
story of this play.
Would
so
we
this
even
is
know
purely
he was
my
in
bias.
it? Would we even know he was in it if this
No,
hadn't
no.
happened?
It's
Yeah.
about I read it up here right now. I actually kind of
Who knows? Who cares?
It's called
like,
Take Me Out, which is it's
No.
about homophobia
cares?
in baseball.
It's just like
It's the most
obviously,
2022 thing I've ever
him
heard.
being naked in the play is for shock value.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to like draw people in to watch it. Like, I don't respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And you did that because you probably like lack dignity and you're selling your naked body in
Yeah.
a very like
You don't
I
think he
was
sees it
reading
as
this-
artistic, as in artistic
I mean, maybe
integrity?
they'll
Maybe he
say
does,
that,
but then maybe that's why it doesn't bother him. I was reading this biography of an actress, and she was saying like, once you do nudity in a movie, there's no going back
Yeah.
because you've set that standard of something you're comfortable with. So the next movie that you do, you can't be like, no, I don't want to, because the director will be like, but you did it for the other movie. And so like, to me, like there's nothing that I would want to do that would make me want to take my clothes off like this for like public entertainment. But that's my personal value. He obviously doesn't seem to think that that's a big deal. And so to a certain extent, like I think it's probably normal that he's not outraged. Like if it had been a movie and they're like what's that? There's some movie where you see Richard Gere's penis. Like that's gonna live in perpetuity forever. Like if this had been a film, he would be like, yep, everyone's gonna see it, and that's okay because it's making me a lot of money. Like I don't really think he has a leg to stand on for being offended.
I don't think I don't think he is. I'm just trying to find where the differences would be in the discourse between men and women in this case, because I find it kind of fascinating. Because
I think it's just that like
it felt like the second article here where he says it's fine. It felt like he just kind of conceded that it's fine because the cat's out of the bag, and there's no other
I
choice
think he
now.
might genuinely feel like it's no big deal.
Yeah, I think men and women govern their body differently, and I stand by like
I
who
only
is
say that
asking
because
for naked pictures of who? Like
Yeah.
9 out of
Yeah.
10 times here, team.
I only say
Yeah.
that I only bring that up because the original article that was written about this was how there was a whole thing written about how he felt terrified about doing this, And then the worst, if the reason he feels terrified, I don't know if the reason he feels terrified is because he doesn't want the people in the audience to see him naked and he has to get comfortable with that, or if he's terrified because he's worried that stuff will get out. My guess it's more about getting comfortable with being naked in front of a room full of people, but it's still, to me, like the worst possible.
I think if you have second guesses about something like that, you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he agreed to do this for this show. Like, now any film director could be like, well, you were naked in that one play, so could you be naked in our movie? Like, I feel bad for performers, especially like if he's trying to get some momentum going for his career and he feels like this play is something worth doing. But like, I don't know. I guess you have to be realistic and say, like, once I have made this decision, it's out of my control where images of me in this position end up.
Yep. All right. So Mike Tyson is not being charged at all. Did you remember that? Were you on the episode when he beat the guy up on the plane?
There's this guy sitting behind him on a plane.
Oh my God, she wasn't here for this.
Yeah, I think that was like a game day or something.
I need to start keeping like a notepad.
Just tell me what happened. So
this guy behind him on a plane was like a fan of his, was asking for pictures and stuff like that. I think they did take a selfie, but then he wouldn't stop bothering him. There was an allegation that the dude like threw a water bottle at Mike Tyson, but that's not confirmed and it's not recorded. And then Mike Tyson just decided he had enough and went and pummeled the dude in the face.
You can see it on the screen right now.
Yeah.
This isn't the video with the epic shot of the guy's face afterwards, where the guy just looks really like confused.
Really, there's a screenshot of it in the TMZ.
Just confused.
Yeah, here it is, right here. Yes.
And hurt.
So it says it's a big deal for Iron Mike because he had been facing the possibility of multiple criminal charges. He punched a man repeatedly in the face at SFO on a JetBlue plane on April 20th. Reps for Tyson had alleged that the man threw a water bottle at him and annoyed him repeatedly prior to the attack. An attorney for the man, meanwhile, had argued that no water bottle was thrown, and if the water bottle doesn't fit, you must acquit. So it says, and blame the incident on the client being overly excited, and so. It's just further evidence between this and Dave Chappelle's attacker. They're just soft on crime out there in California, and that's a problem. Maybe we should be, not to be a selective enforcement person, but I'd rather the guy who attacked Chappelle got tried than Tyson, but, that's just me. So, also, did you see that, I can't believe that you weren't there for it when we covered that. It's so weird. I need to start keeping a flow chart about who's here when we cover what topics, right? They're not even going to air the Dave Chappelle set from where the attack happened at all. He had cameras there, but they weren't hit. They weren't.
We need the 4K footage.
There were no. Here's the thing. There were cameras there, but they weren't Netflix. It was the Hollywood Bowl event was the Netflix is a Joke festival, but they weren't there to film Dave Chappelle. The stuff he filmed was for his own stuff. For that's just part of his job is to have his sets filmed. So there's not even going to be like a
darn.
Like there's like imagine they could turn that into into a Hulu documentary. If we've got Astro World documentary and all of these like real life documentaries of stuff that happens, or one day we'll get an Oscars documentary where Will Smith hits Chris Rock. Maybe we could get a documentary of this and show what happened.
Why aren't they capitalizing on this?
Bad business decisions. Netflix
I think they don't know how to handle it. Like, we haven't got quite a verdict on the Will Smith thing yet. So.
I'm loving that, like, the relationship between the entertainers and the observers now is one of struggle.
Oh, and
like, we're literally just physically fighting each other.
So now, every time that heckler comes in the show, who's like big, burly, and looks like he works out all the time, that performer better be careful about what he claps back at that guy with, because you don't know what that guy might not have much to live for. He might just run up on stage and attack you. So you're gonna
Does this make you not want to interact with any other humans on the planet?
Yeah, well, or it's going to
killing your spirit.
No, I just like, ugh.
Will it make
tired of this?
Well, like maybe it'll make like the higher level performers, like a Bill Burr or a Chris Rock or a Dave Chappelle, just hire their own private security.
Or come armed. Like, what if they came carrying a gun he's like, rush the stage, and Bill Burr's like, not today, sir.
That would be fantastic.
I mean, literally, the guy that attacked Dave Chappelle could have had a gun because...
Well, he had a bayonet, so...
For all anyone knows, he snuck that in. It looks exactly like a gun. He could have snuck in a gun if he wanted to and literally murdered Dave Chappelle.
So their security sucks.
the NRA should pair up with all performing comedians and be like, this is the reason that we get to carry.
The NRA and 6
This is
Hour.
the marketing thing. I don't understand what they're doing.
It's like
NRA's new spokesperson is Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle, and look, he's pro 2A.
He'd take it.
He's pro 2A.
I'm telling you, this is the spin. I don't understand why anyone is not immediately capitalizing on this.
He partners with like Glock or 6 Hour
again with the $1 million ideas on PCC.
Always. Okay, Anna Wintour. You wanted to talk about Anna Wintour. I know nothing about Anna Wintour except for there was a movie made about her.
Yeah, so Amy Odell just wrote a biography about her. Everyone's freaking out because she's really just kind of a mythologized character, even though she's a real person. She's she sits behind her shades and her sculpted bob haircut.
I've seen about 1 million crime series that do their own version of Anna Wintour.
She has become sort of an Americana persona.
Yeah.
She is such a integral figure in the fashion industry.
Yeah, so The Devil Wears Prada, I guess few people know this, but it is based on a true story of an assistant she had, and I don't know if this is true or if she was just trying to be cheeky about it, but she said she didn't remember this woman at all.
That's really funny. It's kind of like the meme.
She's had so many, she just cycles through them, and they leave also, once they have had their spirits crushed.
She literally, even though probably this girl got fired, made this girl's career by giving her something to write about.
Fair enough.
And she's still irrelevant to Anna Wintour. I'm sorry, but that is killer.
Just
That's
thought we'd do a drive-by shooting on her.
It's like the meme. It's you took everything from me. It's I don't even know who you are.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Anna Wintour literally goes, who?
Yeah, but I am excited. I do want to read this biography because I want to get the inside scoop on her.
Wait, so is the biography different than the movie?
Yeah, so the movie is based on, but is fictionalized.
Of Anna, it's based on an Anna Wintour's-esque. Anna Wintour-esque
if I'm remembering correctly, and Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, but the author of that had been an assistant to Anna Wintour's, and it is a novel she wrote, so it's fictional.
Okay.
Based off her experience.
Yeah, and I'm sure that kind of villainized Anna Wintour in a way that's not actually believable. So the biography is supposed to be showing more the soft side. She is a grandmother and a person, and I'm sure she's not
human,
actually evil.
She doesn't actually know her grandkids'
Well,
names.
maybe she's done a lot of evil shit. I believe
the thing
that.
is what if she's this weird villain who is weirdly she likes who she likes and she doesn't like everybody.
Right.
Is that a horrible way to live life?
I mean, I respect it.
I don't know. I'm kind of for it.
In the fashion world, you do have to be cutthroat. So I'm intrigued. I think I
and
read
the fact that this book became a movie and was a big deal, and she was I literally cannot even remember who you are. This is no bearing, and nothing happened to her. It's not afterwards people were oh, Anna Wintour's is so evil.
Yeah,
they were yeah, she's an ice queen of fashion. That's why we kind of keep her where she is.
Yeah. She is who she says she is.
I know nothing about her. I know literally other than...
maybe you should read the biography.
Maybe I should read the biography. I don't know. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Educate yourself.
Learn and grow.
Shrink and forget.
Shrink and forget. I'm not learning and growing. I'm protesting learning and growing. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.